We have a great amount of people that joined our webinar today, WiseTalk, about the future of SEO strategy, which is a huge name, but we'll try to break it down and understand what exactly does it mean.
And before that, we'll start with just a few words of housekeeping. So everyone is welcome to write your questions. We will take care to review the questions throughout the conversation, see if anything jumps out at us. I will be managing the question box. So you'll see a question mark icon in the menu. So please type your questions there. You can direct it to one of the panelists or to all of us. And we'll also have a few polls throughout the conversation for you guys to kind of give your input and to add to our conversation. So, and with that, we will get to introducing today's Wise Talkers. We've got Ben Kazinik. He's a senior SEO expert at Monday.com. For over a decade, Ben's SEO expertise and data-driven decision-making has made him a sought-after thought leader and consultant. Before Monday, he grew Maple's traffic from 2,000 to 230,000 monthly visitors, and he loves B2B marketing and strategy. Hey, Ben.
What's up, Natalie? Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. We're super excited to have all of your input for today. And next up, we've got Amotz. Harari. Amotz is the head of marketing at Storydoc. He's an expert in driving revenue for growth startups through digital marketing for both B2C and B2B. He mostly keeps his marketing secrets to himself, but we persuaded him to share some of them with you today. So thank you for that, Amotz. Hey.
They drive a hard pitch. Thanks for having me.
The interesting story about Amotz is, first of all, he used to be a WiseStamper, and he was the SEO. He's basically responsible for the great jump we had in the recent years while he was with us. And also Storydoc is a product we are using in WiseStamp. Also, they are one of our clients. They're a customer of WiseStamp. They've been using WiseStamp for a while now. Also, Monday is on the way to also.
We're all friends here.
So we all friends.
Welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome, guys.
Maybe skip forward to Amotz's LinkedIn, just so in case.
I forgot I'm responsible for the presentation. That's hard work.
It's all good, but in case you guys want to reach out to our experts, you can find their profiles over on LinkedIn and keep tabs.
So let's
start. I love the stars you put in your name. That's great.
It's because I'm worth 5 stars.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so for today's agenda, we're going to cover what's going on with Google. We're going to cover, are old SEO practices still relevant? We're going to talk about the AI conundrum, and we're going to talk about SEO beyond Google. And then we're going to put all those into practice with a live roast led by Ben. So
yeah, let's start. So the first question and the first topic I want to touch is the fact that this year has been a meaningful year for Google or for SEO in many ways, because we had the core update of March, which impacted many websites and many companies. We had, which was also, it's this graph, Natalie, you brought us to us because it shows that it was one of the longest core updates ever. Maybe the second longest.
Maybe it's still rolling out.
And it's still, and it's now they have it done. There's an August update probably to fix whatever they broke at the March update. There's also the issue with the introduction, or the fact that Reddit is everywhere, and the increase of Reddit results in the SERP. And there's also the fact that Google has started experimenting with the AI generative content. And the question is, like, what's been going on? And do you guys feel any dramatic changes in your side? What's been going on there?
Actually, let me 1 second launch a poll to everybody.
Let's ask everyone.
That's
a good tool.
So Here, I think everyone should be able to see it. How was your site affected by the most recent Google update? So did you see a jump in traffic? Did you see a somewhat of an increase? Did you hardly feel any effects at all? Did you feel maybe a slight decrease or a dramatic decrease in traffic, which we don't hope on anybody here in the audience? But yeah, let's take it to you guys.
Where's Google taking us, Ben? In your perspective?
I think it all started with ChatGPT and the AI revolution, and people started just creating content at scale without really editing it, or without teams that didn't have the money, the capability, the expertise in-house to do it. They just said, well, let's just create a bunch of pages and see what happens. And I think then Google had to. A lot of people saw a lot of spammy results, and Google had to kind of take a step back and say, okay, how do we filter all these results out and monitor, improve because obviously it's the user experience of the searcher. So the recent update, that's what they really targeted spammy links and unhelpful content, or what they dub unhelpful content. And they said it was a reduction of 45% of the unhelpful content. But I think, and also poor user experience, we've seen a lot, especially with the Google leak, that click data, or how the user interacts with a website, Google actually records that data and uses it for ranking. So I think for a lot of us that didn't go crazy with AI, we didn't really feel any negative effects like in the last year.
Do you feel that there are type of website or type of content or pages that were affected more than others?
Yeah, I think people that were using programmatic SEO incorrectly, just creating a bunch of pages at scale, people that weren't focused on content quality, so they were creating things that weren't helpful to the user, they weren't comprehensive enough. But probably different niches. Also, people that experimented with backlinks, and I'm not the person to ask. I don't really build backlinks, but I know that a lot of websites were affected because different practices. But as you can see in this poll, look at that, 52% of our audience said they hardly felt any effect, and 14 said it slightly increased.
We can publish it. I think we can share. Let's share the results, and it's interesting to see that 50%.
I thought everybody could see it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you just the spoiler. What?
I jumped the gun. Spoiler alert. Half our audience doesn't care about the recent update, and I tend to agree with them.
No, I'm not sure they don't care. Well, Amotz, what's your perspective? Amotz, what's your perspective on that?
About your previous question, right?
AI. Like where is Google? No, where is Google taking us? Like what? Why does Google is changing so much and
yeah. There's a few questions there, but I'm gonna address the one about AI and where that's taking us. If I don't know, after seeing the poll, maybe people don't care, so I don't know, but I'm just gonna put a pin in it. So basically, AI, if you don't edit it, like Ben said, or use it superficially, it just spits out generic content, which is what the machine knows how to do. And if there's no lack of generic content on the web, poorly researched, not in-depth, just scraped content from other good content, that is most of the web. So AI just does that en masse. And Google, which had that problem to begin with, like low quality content, now had to find a way to deal with this tidal wave of crappy content in scale, which people thought they could game the system this way. And it didn't take them long till they found a way to recognize it. And once they did, all those that abused this tool to think that they can just like break down queries into like very, very long tail queries to get that breadth of content that would give them a head start. They're the one that got knocked down. And that made sense. It was only a matter of time. They have AI, they have insane resources, and there's even like third-party tools today that can pretty insanely precise predict or analyze if a piece of content is done with AI with editing, AI paraphrased. It's insane. So if third-party tools can do it, then obviously Google can. So there's no future for AI-only content. And if you thought that's a good way forward, I would definitely suggest to abandon that.
Yeah, we definitely are going to go more into the AI realm for sure, and like the do's and definitely the don'ts. So what I'm hearing from you right now is like, who did these changes, the most recent updates, affect the most? If you did see a drop in traffic, you're likely a site that wasn't really focused so much on providing good user experience and good quality content, right? So that kind of leads to the question, like, is the SEO of today still the same SEO of 2 or 3 years ago? Do we have a reason to drop everything and stop, drop, and roll, or like, do we keep carrying on?
So basically, you're asking, is SEO dead? Like that question
I'm not sure
just
dead, but
confuses
has
Is it
changed.
changing?
Is it changing? Is it changing? Should we start
Yeah,
focusing on other things that from what we used to do,
I
which
have one
is
sentence and then I'll let Ben answer because I think it would be more interesting. I think SEO is getting harder. um, um, Partly because we had systems of humans built to spam and game the system and just like flood it with low quality content. And then now we have AI, which people will continue for the foreseeable future to think that it's a good solution for them when they have low resources and want to get ahead and break through somehow. Um, so actually, if you're writing good content today, you're better off than ever because you're differentiated more than you ever have been because all the rest think they can get away with much less work. And in my experience, not true. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's a good answer. I think the best practices in SEO are still the same, identical. In the last few years, they've been the same, but we have more tools in our tool stack now to create content faster. We can, if you use AI the right way, you can use it to, first of all, you can teach it the style and what you want, what the output should be, and over time it improves. And then you can use it to create the bulk of the post, the generic things in the post, like definitions and whatever things that you
I
just
want to
need.
get into that. I want to save that because we do want to get into
Okay,
best
I'm
practices
saving it,
for
put it aside.
for AI. We do want to are you we do want to maybe share about a recent occurrence that kind of is unprecedented
I need to share. I just
once we get the right slide.
one
So
second, here you go. Let's talk about the big leak.
Yeah.
I want to say why we want to talk about it. First, Ben, you want to share with us what happened? What is the big this? Yeah, because you mentioned it, and maybe some of our audience is not aware of what earthquake happened
Sure.
in the SEO world.
Sure. So for years, Google just fed us kind of like PR talking points. And a lot of people A/B tested, and a lot of SEO experts had theories about how ranking works and what to do. But then Google just disproved them all the time with very strong language. They were like, this is made up, and this, And all of a sudden, what happened was accidentally there was just hundreds of documents, I think thousands of documents of code.
2,500.
There you go, 2,500 documents of code from Google that were somehow stored and accidentally released on this website.
Public repository.
There
Yeah.
was no hack, there was nothing illegal. They just happened, it was like, and then it was updated, but in the meantime, it
Someone's like,
was available.
oops, I did it again. Like someone clicked the wrong button, and it just
Something. But, and later on, so an SEO guy found them and shared them asked different ex-employees of Google if it looks legit, and it seems to look legit. And there's a lot of variables that we can tell on what Google measures, what they use, what are the ranking factors. But we can't tell how important they are in the algorithm, but we can tell what they are. And all of a sudden we discovered, like the top few things we discovered was, first, Google created the Chrome browser to measure data, user data on people's websites, which is brilliant. But they've measured data. So things that SEOs said, like traditionally SEOs have said, well, once the user clicks from the search result to your website, that's it. Google doesn't have any more data on that. So we don't know. But really, you could see that the best practice was if whatever the user, however they interact with your website, Google measures that. And there's a variable called long clicks and short clicks, and it depends on the duration of your site. So all these best practices that people have been talking about for years, they're real. Also, so it's really important if your blog post or your site isn't usable or isn't engaging, and the user clicks back, Google records that. So that's probably the worst thing that can happen. But also things like rank, page rank, like that exists. Google measures it, like domain ranking, domain rating, things that they've said that doesn't exist. We don't use a score like that. Well, they do. We don't know how powerful it is, but it is. And also, this is important for different industries. They have whitelisted big publishers. So the brand is more important than ever. If you're a big website with established authority, then they basically whitelist you. And then that's why all of these big publishers have been beating smaller blogs, even if those blogs have better content. So essentially, the brand is more important than ever. And we can get into that later, but there you have it.
I think we can sum up. I think we can sum up this link as "I told you so."
That's right.
in a way, but there is actually an interesting website that we're being using here at WiseStamp, and we saw it actually. Let's give credit to Wix, our friends at Wix. It's called the 2596.org, which basically someone took and just gathered around all the information within these documents, which is very useful to find out what exactly each factor in this algorithm mean and how meaningful. Again, you said it's not how meaningful it is, but like what is meaningful within the SEO factor that you're checking. But I want to looking at the algorithm as it today. Are we expecting? And you mentioned, Ben, with the need to handle the lots of new content and shallow content anyway, or AI content. Do you think that Google now also, when it's leaked, will change the algorithm like massively, or are we expecting like a massive algorithm change or changes due to the fact that now generative AI got into the picture? Now that are we expecting like anything? Are the current changes? Are the current changes a core change, or are that another optimization?
I think maybe it's a good opportunity to distinguish between a algorithm change and a core update. A core update is not an algorithm change. It's just they gather this information, sort of what Ben was alluded to before. So like all this information coming in from the SERP itself, from the search results page itself, from Google Chrome, from other places, wherever they're gathering their information, they probably are. They just like gather that, process that, machine learning, whatever, and then they update their weightings and the scorings that they have for whatever, all their like immense index of domains and pages, right? That's what happens in a core, basically what happens in a core algorithm update. But then you have updates like Ben brought up before, like the helpful content update, or the review, product review update, and all these which are, or spam update, which are specific updates that try to attack a specific problem or issue that Google is trying to deal with, for good or bad. And then you have like the historic algorithms, complete or baby algorithms or whatever, like bunch of algorithms that came into being that we know, like Panda, Penguin, BERT, all those.
We have that on the slide, right?
So which are you asking about? About the BERTs of the world, or about the core algorithms of the world, core updates of the world? Daniel?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. And let's we need to move on because our time is ticking. And
way to answer. You
cover...
stumped them. You answered the question with a question. It was amazing.
I'm saying it's a good question.
I can answer about the interesting part, which is, will there be any bigger like new algorithm like updates? It depends. No, I'm kidding.
It depends.
Probably
I
not.
want to take your the what we're talking about and move on to the next topic, which is the AI. And we touched a bit in the beginning, but the use of AI. And first of all, how can we as SEO managers and people who use in content creators can use SEI and utilize it for our SEO needs? And the other aspect of AI is the fact that more and more AI is being introduced or being used in Google search, for example, but also being used by people for to search online. And I want to show this graph, this wonderful graph from our friends at SimilarWeb, that shows the crazy jump in the use of AI. We have another two graphs that I want to show. These, let me just, here we go. It took AI, this beautiful graph shows the technology adoption, which means when 25% of the population is using any technology. And electricity took 46 years to be adopted, and television 26 years, the web 7 years. It took ChatGPT as technology 60 days to be used by more than 100 million people in the US. So obviously there's a huge impact of this new technology on the way people behave and search and create and absorb, consume technology, content online. And the first question is, and I want to start with the first side of it, how can we utilize it as SEO? And you both mentioned it in your answers previously, but how can we utilize it? And more than that, when and what should we not do while using AI tools?
Let me first launch this poll just to get a feel for how everyone else is using AI. So how often, let's ask the audience, how often do you use AI? Do you use it on the daily, at least once a week, casually, maybe on just like a monthly basis, or AI what? You're not really touching upon it so much. I do see in the questions from the audience, there are a few questions around AI as well. So this is a hot topic, as you guys know. So
let's start with Amotz, for example. How often do you use it in Storydoc? How much do you incorporate it into your day-to-day work, both in SEO and also content creation, of course, which is, I'm sure, is
that's a good question, because that's my main use, and that's very different than my personal use, which is more like to what people will be using it in maybe right now and the future, which is maybe something else that you want to address later, like how we want to be there to catch that traffic. But I use it for content creation all the time, practically every day, and all my team uses it as well. The main use is for research. So we go like I kind of said before, the main challenge is creating content that is just way, way, way better than anything else out there, like really high quality content. So what we do is we go out into the world and we try to find pieces of information that are not indexed, so not other pages on the web. That could be, well, they are indexed, but not in the same way. So that could be videos, that could be podcasts, that could be books, parts of books, even articles. And then we run it through ChatGPT. Basically, we feed it to the machine and we extract the essence of it, usually with also a quote, so we can give credit and kind of ego bait the people to notice us and maybe reference us wherever in social media. So that's another technique. But that's the basics of what we're doing, and this essentially lets us lets one good editor be worth than more or less 10 good writers, because the editing process becomes the writing process becomes an editing process, because ChatGPT kind of becomes the writer and a good editor can turn an average writer into a good piece of content. So basically, that's what we're doing. Like that's the machine, and we have we've developed like our own different prompts for processing different types of information into different type of like components or pieces of information that come up again and again and again on the website, like describing an example. Say we want to have an example page about annual reports. So we want to show those PDFs of those annual reports. So I run ChatGPT on those PDFs with explicit instructions what to come back with other than design, because it can't say anything about design yet. And then it comes back with it, and then we just rewrite it a bit and like make it not sound dumb, and add our own design thoughts and kind of like our voice, and then that's that. So and then it also acts as like a second layer after writing, as like an editor, to see if all the writing is like grammatically okay, and that and catch like typos or spelling mistakes, things like that, which also saves a bunch of time, because we used to have like another person QA for the first, and then now they don't need that. So that's the basics of it. Probably there's a lot more to do. If you want, I'm experimenting with things that are a lot more complex. For example, like I build a lot of like programs in Python, which I have no knowledge in. I don't know Python at all, but like it lets me scrape a lot of information. Say you want, for example, we do link building. No, we don't. So my friend that does link building, so what they do is they build a Python basically code that you can run a Google search. So like you just paste in the URL of the Google search, and then you get that result. Obviously, we refine the search, and then you get all those results that are what we're trying to look for. So let's say like something about annual reports without the word annual report in the title, but with the word like design in. So annual report design, which is like what we do. And then we had all those that don't talk specifically about annual report, but have that in the page. So then we can outreach them and say, hey, like you have this great insertion, maybe put us there. And so that extracts that and then puts it into a CSV, and then we can use that and with other tools match it with like context. So that's one thing. But a lot of these like automations I try to play around with, but it takes a long time to like master. So I wouldn't recommend going right into that, but it's definitely something to keep in mind.
How long would such a thing take to build?
A couple hours, depending on what you're actually like. I tried to build something for scraping opportunities off LinkedIn, but LinkedIn has some measures that prevent you from scraping it. So I had to create like a a Chrome extension which kind of bypasses that. So then you have to learn how to do it. It depends. So like if you want to have something that knows how to communicate, say with Google Sheets, you have to write a Python script that know how to communicate with AppScript, which is the script that runs Google Sheets. And you have to know these things. Otherwise, it would just like get you into a dead end over and over again. And so you have to do kind of like a bit of research around what you're trying to achieve, or talk to somebody that actually knows what they're doing to do that correctly, because you have to give ChatGPT those exact, like really directed, and tell it where to play so it really can play. Otherwise, it's just really too dumb.
Yeah. Ben, any thoughts on what do you guys in Monday do? Like how often and what do you do with AI? Is content maybe analysis, maybe like research?
Yeah, well, so far, our SEO is separate from our content. So our writers, are managed by a different team. They can do whatever they like there. I'm less involved there. But in my previous job, when I was in charge of all the content, I used AI to basically publish a new blog post every day. Sometimes if it was shorter, I could do 2 a day. And essentially, I would use different tools to scrape all of the search results, and then it feeds me all of the keywords that I need to hit and how many times I should hit it. And then I would do my own research and create an outline, and then use AI to write the bulk of it, and then just edit it for voice or whatever. And some things are easier, like if you're creating a glossary section, which is something that people do, like a very popular thing. That's easier with AI because it could just define things for you, and like generic posts like that. Or if you're creating like long guides, then it's easier.
Even
Yeah.
something like that is what ChatGPT actually excels in. So I wrote a listicle about best pitch deck creator, best pitch deck software, right? And I wanted a table that compares it all, like a snapshot. So I told it like run on that, and there's like categories of how I measured each tool. So I told them like give a score of 1 to 5 on each of these categories, and then like like an overall score, and just did that, and that's like amazing. And you can pretty much depend on the outcome there because it's what it ran on. It made a lot of sense and it's beautiful.
Right. And also it
Even
gives you
though
ideas. So like we had a post in my previous job, Maple, we had a post where we just wanted to write something viral. So we wrote a post on the top Instagram captions. And we asked ChatGPT, okay, give us different categories, cute ones and congratulatory ones and whatever. And it popped out with like 200 captions, published the post, added some cool Instagram things, and it's still ranking at the top. So it's like
I think
number one, number two.
definitely you can get creative and knowledgeable with using the tools if you sort of have the time and maybe some guidance in doing it, and maybe if you have I know, Ben, you work with Phrase a lot, so this is one of those tools that you're talking about that kind of scrapes all the keywords that are up there and kind of rates your content as you write in real time to see how you're doing on the keywords. But the question is, I guess, like, can we trust these tools? A lot of people, SimilarWeb actually has data on searches for a tremendous amount of searches for how to use ChatGPT without sounding like a bot, how to write without sounding like AI. So, and how do you address that? You were saying that you were creating content on the daily. So how were you able to tamper down the use of AI or to inject that quality that we're talking about that Google is looking for in the content?
Sure. Well, I think it's two things. First of all, the editor, a human always has to go over everything that's written. So that's just an easy way to avoid anything that sounds like gobbledygook. The other way is context, like feeding the AI a lot of information about your product, your company, your brand, your voice, and just feeding it like we had a whole document that we fed into the AI, and then giving it instructions. Okay, change this, sound more like this. And, eventually it trains it. Also, you could use Perplexity AI to double check, verify the data and the stats that you're using, and then combine that into your piece. So you got to be
Right.
smart, but it's not difficult. It's not like a complex, magical world. It's pretty straightforward when you get
There's, I
into it.
think, a caveat here as well to say. Um, I did kind of like what Ben described, so I trained the ChatGPT specifically to write in a very, very specific way
This is a
about.
RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation, right? Is that sort of a term that we can
Sure.
give that?
That's
I heard that
exactly what
that's like
Amotz was talking about, actually.
training the AI to
I just
RAG
fed it a
by
lot,
feeding it.
like to a specific chat. I don't know, maybe
It's
the
called
I missed
rags to
the.
riches.
But my point was that I got to a point where it wrote beautifully, like really, like I wish I could write that well, in the tone and style that I want, and like having these nice little anecdotes in there, and not too much, not too little, like very, very precise. And I was like so happy with myself, and I showed it to the team, and they was like, "That's amazing! It looks great." And then I ran it through through AI detectors, and it was like 100% AI. Okay, so
So
like if
yeah, this is
the,
a question we got. This is a question we just got from one of the audience members. Will AI affect how bots crawl our content from a technical perspective?
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure I understand either, but I was hoping you.
I think
But
they're
I
going to
think
crawl
this
your
means
page regardless.
I think this it points to what you just said, that will it be able to detect? Will the AI detectors go off even if you use it as suavely?
Is it going to be actually a
I
factor?
think yes. I think we're seeing it right now. These detectors can do it. Google can obviously do it, and it's not one word. It's sequences of words that are just like an inevitable output of a statistical model. So I'm not sure there's a way to go around it and a way to beat it. Like I invested a lot of time, wasted a lot of time to try and make it sound really, really human in a way that you guys wouldn't be able to recognize it as AI like ever. And these detectors did, because it's something that on a big level, on a grand level, on a statistic level, they see, we do not. And as long as that,
sorry, go ahead.
maybe at some point, somebody that creates amazing AI content somehow will get the benefit of like great ranks. But I think for the foreseeable future, it's like there's going to be search engine distrust of anything that's flagged as AI. And they're not going to go like, oh, this is like really good AI content. And no, this is like really bad AI content. If they recognize it as AI, it's probably going to get a penalty in the sense of like it's going to be demoted to the bottom of the list, right near like generic paid for link farm content.
I think that what I hear from you both, and if correct me if I'm wrong, is that AI is just a tool, and you need to know how to use it and make sure you don't just let it run. Like I remember when Photoshop was introduced in the 90s, and like it was, oh, it's the end of painting, it's the end of like bye art, everything. And then you realize, no, if you don't know how to use Photoshop, you still won't be able to create great art or great photos. So it's in many ways the same here, because you need to address it as a tool. Even in many ways, when people AI is is a dumb thing, is like a stupid tool in a way that unless you utilize it correctly, it will create horrible content, and not just wrong content and wrong analysis and wrong. It sounds good, but it's not always correct for sure.
You just can't let it write your content. That's the only thing. The only thing. The rest it can do. It can build things. It can automate things. It can improve things. It can edit. It can help you with ideation. Everything around writing, but you need that flaw of human writing, whatever that is, that makes each of our writing super specific and not copyable. And outside the realm of a statistical model, that which is beautiful, like to understand that each of us has like a kind of like a writing like a fingerprint, which these AI just can't manage to emulate. I don't understand enough about that. I'm not that smart, but it's still a beautiful thing that there's still something uncopyable about being human.
Wow.
The other side of the story, and I want to take us forward in the conversation, is the fact that ChatGPT, and as I mentioned earlier, has become a place to search, and is gradually, like again, and they're about to introduce their own search engine. That's at least what they announced, and also maybe some
Search
Bing
GPT.
Search GPT, and also Bing with the Copilot maybe becomes, and also. So how do you think this going to affect the fact that people are searching elsewhere again? And Google is obviously it's still 90%, 95% of the market share in search tools, but platforms. But how do you think this going to affect our work as in SEO? And maybe, or yeah,
I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
I wouldn't worry about Google. For starters, they make 100 billion a year profit. So they're, even if you bite into that a bit, they're still really well off. But beyond that, I think search is like, if you take other search engines that kind of compete with Google, say the next biggest one I think is Amazon. Maybe after that is YouTube, and now it'd be TikTok, right? They specialize in something that in something specific. So TikTok and YouTube are essentially a person looking for something that is as a pastime activity, right? Something that's going to amuse them. Where Google is kind of like a tool that you don't go there for like getting amused. You have a problem and you need that solved, and that's Google does that as a multi-tool better than anything else, and nothing on the horizon is here to change that. But what I see my friends and I use ChatGPT for and AI searches for is highly specialized, customized searches that search will never be able to provide. Firstly, because the AI overviews are kind of like they're too broad. They attack like very informational, top level things like what is, sometimes how to, but like types of, all these things that are very far away from people actually buying something. So there's no big threat for Google there, but also no big help for us there, because there's a lot of other content that does that, from feature snippet and content that was created historically for those types of searches. So maybe AI will bite into that a bit, but like what Google will probably never be able to do well, because it kind of floats in, right, a set of results or a specific AI answer or whatever, is something that's very customized. And I'll give you an example to illustrate. A friend of mine, he was building a ninja playground for his kids. And
is this the same friend from the last example?
Yeah.
um,
Amotz has many friends. He has many friends.
I have many
Oh,
friends.
Many
No,
friends.
not. I don't think so. No. So he wanted to build that, and he actually had ChatGPT give him the instructions of the model, like where to place the holding, like the handholds, right? And like guidance step by step on how to make it from the materials and everything like that. And that's like that's that's not a search that ends with in 30 seconds. That's a search that takes you a day. It's like a conversation. It's like enlisting. It's what you're maybe gonna refer to as like agents and things like that. Somebody that takes your hand and helps you with something that's much more complex than a search that ends in 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes reading an article. My point being.
Ben, your perspective on where does AI search or ChatGPT, search GPT,
I
taking
tend to
us?
agree with Amotz and all of his friends. I think that, at least the ones we know of, I think that Google's not going anywhere. People are still going to use Google. And okay, TikTok and okay, Gen Zers or whoever, they use TikTok more. Great. Google still serves a very important function. So I wouldn't get scared by that. I don't know what Search GPT is going to do, but I would say that people should focus on their brand more and like the authority of their website in general and how users, whether users know them. They should do more brand awareness campaigns, and then also people should repurpose their content so that if it loses traffic from Google, but it still is very popular on social media, or it's also a podcast or in a YouTube video and some other format, then I think that would push your content efforts forward, and that way, SEOs could focus on different channels. It's not all just about Google. It could be also, YouTube SEO. And yeah.
What if
Yeah.
Reddit, TikTok, and Reddit on that sense? Like maybe like is there anything you can do there to make sure that appear?
Yeah,
No.
companies have been creating content in Quora and Reddit for years. And I think with the right strategy,
It's
you
a
could
lot of
definitely do
work.
that.
We
It's a
kind
lot
of
of work.
tried to attack that, and Reddit are not idiots. They figured out that they're getting a lot of traction from Google right now, and they figured out that if they let people abuse that then they're gonna be kicked back down to where they were. So what they cracked down very aggressively on promotional comments, and we tried to do it like in a sneaky way. A friend of mine tried to do it in a sneaky way. um,
It was-
and it didn't work. They flagged it. They have their own probably AI, and they have enough patterns there to recognize when somebody is gaming their platform.
So before we move on to the roast, and I want to ask you, maybe the last question, but our time is we almost
Time flew.
Time flew.
Oh my gosh.
What is the one thing the people who are listening to us need to consider if you had to say, listen, this is the one thing which is important in order to maintain a good SEO today? Is it? Well, I'll just leave it open. Actually,
I think content quality. It's always been important. If you focus on that, then you don't have to know any of the updates.
I will. To be honest, sorry. Go ahead, Amotz.
Yeah, be a topic matter expert in your field. Make it your business to be extra knowledgeable. It's good for business anyway, because the ones that know what they're doing are the ones you want to, get their service. So
I think it's a good tip in the sense of, I remember when we did a big change in our blog at WiseStamp a year and a half or 2 years ago. Once we focused more on the content which is relevant to us, we saw a huge jump in traffic, and it's really changed the way we perceive the blog as the traffic generator, because we said, okay, instead of publishing a lot of content about anything, we just focused on the things that relates to our core business and Google favorite, of course.
I think this is a great point, because traffic is a vanity metric. Like, there's no point in traffic that does nothing for your business. If you focus on that traffic that pushes your bottom line, that drives revenue, then all you have to focus on is just making sure that you have all the pieces of the funnel, so all the way from top of funnel to bottom funnel on a certain topic that drives revenue. And that could be, say I don't know, building glass fiber pools. So that could be from what is a glass fiber pool down to the best glass fiber pool companies and a listicle of, I don't know, like glass fiber pool types, whatever. And you can pair that obviously with videos like Ben said, using ChatGPT to basically chew down whatever content you already have and make it into another type of content. So if you close that funnel, you know what you're focused on, and you close that and you make it highly valuable for your users, then even though it may be less traffic, you're going to get much more business out of that, which I'm assuming
I will say that originally, when I thought of this question, we planned it in advance, I thought the answer would be technical, to be honest. Like, keep the tech, the SEO, technical SEO on your website perfect. And it's something that we also invest a lot in WiseStamp.
I don't touch it.
You don't touch it?
No.
So it's which led us great to the roast, actually. I think this is a great time because we have 10 minutes left. I hope we'll have enough time for that. So, Ben, do you want to?
Yeah.
So
okay.
Many of you have sent us your website to roast.
Yes.
And we chose. You want to show? Who did we choose?
I got a few that we're going to cover really quickly. It's going to be a blitz roast.
Rock on.
Okay. So first we got this awesome Turkish travel website, and different languages. Looks very nice and awesome. And the first thing I notice about it is it has no blog.
I hope that everyone see it. I'm not sure if our audience.
Yeah, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah,
we see it. So I hope that if we see it, everyone see it. It feels
okay.
Yes. Okay.
So awesome website. Very few pages. In fact, I went on Ahrefs. You can go on SEMrush or any other tool, and I looked at the pages and the traffic they have. So they have like 100 pages. So obviously, the best way to grow any website.
I want to pause you here because I want to pause you. Let's introduce Ahrefs. Ahrefs is a great tool. Sure. It's a freemium model, right? Which can help you understand the rank, like the authority, like
it shows you your own website and what keywords you're ranking for. Yeah. It also shows you the backlinks, other people's sites pointing to yours, and
I don't know the freemium. The freemium doesn't really let you do a lot of the important stuff.
Yeah, it shows you on your own website. If you want to do research on other people's websites, you have to pay. Yeah. So essentially, this website has 100 pages. It doesn't have a blog. So the best advice I would give is create blogs on the best travel destinations in different regions and, different languages, right? And also, it doesn't seem from the homepage, at least, that I know what this site is about. Like, okay, unique experience. Okay, great. But then, like, the headers themselves, like, I think
So
there
what I mean
should be
from
some
you,
more work.
is like be specific in the header. And I think it's something that worked for us
Yeah.
greatly in WiseStamp. Once we changed our header to email signature management solution, or it's like we just
Yeah.
became number one. It's like as simple as that. Make sure you have a header and don't try to be too sophisticated, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And
Also, unless you're a premium provider, Ben, feel free to disagree. I would add a solid number in your most important pages. So like 25% off, or starting from a number in the header or in the H1 that shows in Google will give you salience, meaning that it will pop out to searchers, and it will frame also their expectations. So it's they just get much more clicks, these titles. So use those if you
sure,
can.
sure. Okay, another website. We got this awesome lady who does consulting for sustainability and for other things, yoga. So my first impression of the site is I don't know what is happening and I don't know what you do. I had to dig around to figure out what it is that you do. You say you're, a consultant. I'm not exactly clear. And this person actually asked us, how can I grow and get more traffic? So what I would say is, and this is not really an SEO answer, but you should work on your LinkedIn, because essentially the best, this is very competitive niches, yoga and sustainability, it's super competitive. So, and it's also very different from each other. So what I would recommend, and I clicked on her LinkedIn, awesome lady, but I would recommend her going full throttle on LinkedIn, getting connections, reaching out to people, updating her, optimizing her profile, getting more, followers,
So
connecting
you're
with more
talking
people.
about that brand awareness. That's kind of
Yeah.
touching back to growing and fleshing out your brand.
Yeah.
This is not an SEO advice, but I would say also pair that with email marketing.
Yeah. That's for any business, for sure.
Certainly.
But yeah, clarity, and also this video on top is super overwhelming.
But
So,
yeah,
I think
okay.
there's always a balance. Well, let me just. I think there's always a balance between and
Yeah.
again, we saw it in the previous website. The attempt or your wish to be special and to give this beautiful, amazing experience or very unique content, which is and the simple stuff that work. Just keep it simple and direct. And again,
I'd say
we see it
clear. Like,
Well,
clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
clear, more than simple. It's if I can, there's the thing called the 5-second rule. If I land on your website on any page and I don't know what that page is about, within 5 seconds, there's a large probability I'm gonna bounce, like leave that page.
yep.
Because people, they don't wanna think. So don't make them think. Make it very clear what they're getting, where they are, and why they should care.
Yeah. Do we have time for two more?
We have 4 minutes left, so we have one more, I guess. Let's take another one.
Okay, one more. This one's a quick one. There's nothing on this page, and there's like 2 or 3 pages on this website. So you just started, which is great. It looks nice when the picture loads. It looks great. But I would recommend create the product pages, create your blog posts, build your authority, create some content. And then ask us what we can improve on the SEO. We make sure you get the fundamentals right.
So the
And that's
fundamental is
it.
like having a nice sitemap, like enough pages.
Yeah, blogs,
the basic stuff.
The thumbnails. Yeah. Product
Also,
pages.
I'm assuming this is a local site, so I would also strengthen your what's it called? Google My. It's not called Google My Business anymore, right? What's it called? Google Business.
Yeah, close it down.
Your
Local SEO.
local listing. Yeah. So work on that.
Okay.
And that's the
Sadly,
roast.
we're out of time. We're out of time.
You've been roasted. All 3 or 4 of you. 3 of you.
You guys are lucky. Wow, you guys are super lucky. Just one quick question from the audience was, it's super specific, so maybe we could, I'm hoping to just squeeze it in here in the last few minutes. Does Google still limit your rankings if you don't use their PPC? So PPC is a central.
I don't think they have a.
They never did, so
I don't think they
they're
have. I
probably
think
not
there's a clear.
looking.
Yeah, I think there's a clear cut between the two departments in Google, for at least from.
Also, that would be a major lawsuit liability if they did.
Sounds like it.
And
my friends certainly wouldn't try that.
Hopefully, Amotz's friend wouldn't either.
Unless no.
Okay, we have 1 minute, so we're out of time.
Yeah, this flew by. Thank you so much, Amotz and Ben, for sharing your nuggets of wisdom. I'm definitely looking forward to kind of wrapping my head around the takeaways from this one. I think some important topics were raised. And I really appreciate everyone else for the audience for joining along. And you guys were super active here with those emojis, which I'm seeing right now and loving so much, and entering in your questions. So thank you guys for being so interactive and engaged with our conversation. And definitely we will make sure to go through your questions after this conversation and email you personally. We'll do our best to email you back with solid answers. We'll refer to Amotz and Ben for their expertise as well. And make sure to connect with us on LinkedIn for our next WiseTalk. We're going to have on Andy Crestadina, September 23rd, 9 a.m. Central. We're going to talk about AI and content creation. So please register for that once we publicize the link on our LinkedIn page. So
I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, Natalie, for hosting this. It's been amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Amotz.
Thanks for having us.
And we want to thank everyone who joined us. It's been amazing. We had tons of people joining and from all around the world, and it's been exciting and fun and knowledgeable and interesting. And we'll see you around.
Definitely.
See you, everyone.
All right. Take care.
Bye.